Hey everybody, we're back. Today we are going to be talking about NFTs in the event space. Specifically, Sports Illustrated, turns out, just released something new recently. So I'm John Paul. We got
Right.
Ted here. And so, yep, Ted, can you give us kind of a little overview here? Because you're the local expert on this stuff.
Yeah. Hey, John Paul. Yeah. So you mentioned Sports Illustrated, and it's actually bigger than that. I think Sports Illustrated is really trying to get into this game of using new technology for their ticketing platform. So there is, they do have an existing platform called sitickets.com, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
But now what they've done is they've extended that technology to a service they're calling Box Office. And Box Office basically is a self-service event registration site. It's actually free for free events,
Oh, free
but
is
it
good.
does, yeah, it's free up to actually 10,000 tickets. So if you actually wanted to have a webinar or a local event, you could set up a free event, and you can still set up tiers of tickets, and it's a pretty robust service when you start digging around into it.
Cool. Wait, so literally, I could create an event, and it doesn't have to be a sports event. Anybody could do an event.
Right. Yeah. So they're, really focusing on web conferences, anything, any event related. And they actually have, I think it's maybe 6 to 8 different categories of events you can select. And then they do advertise that, it goes if you want to publicize it. So obviously they have levels of whether or not it's a public event, private event, or, unlisted event. But making a public event, they're pulling that in, and they own a larger calendar that's kind of showing those events that happen to the day.
So how's that tie into an NFT?
Yeah, so it's interesting because what they're doing is whenever you create a ticket,
Mhm.
it's creating an NFT for access to that event. So there's some services now where a lot of it's around QR code. You go to an event, you can have it
Right.
scanned, where they take that NFT and it creates that ownership of that ticket, just like the old days of, people saving their ticket stubs to an
Right.
event. They're basically saying, here's a digital version of that.
Hmm.
Keep this ticket stub in your wallet. But now, because you have that ticket stub, I can offer you better benefits or future benefits for having that ticket stub.
So if I've got this NFT, and you talked about having tiers, so a different tier gets different access to different things. So you're saying, I could, if I've got this NFT, I could walk up to the concession stand and here's my scan my QR code. I've got this special NFT and gives me special rights to get the large version or the small version.
Sure.
Hot dog.
Yeah, and there are event registrations that know when you're on site, right?
Oh,
So that you can uh, actually access promos like that,
okay.
or even after an event, you can target. You brought up the tiers. You are allowed to set up the tiers in their platform, so you can create a platinum level tier that says, "Hey, after the event, we will give all of our platinum levels pre-release song based off of maybe an artist that you went to see, or some type of additional content that
Right.
then creates another NFT of that content, and giving that higher level access to it.
So if we're talking like football game, whoever did the halftime show, they could get something special after the case, or
Sure.
or
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
people.
And,
Yeah.
like we talked about, a couple weeks ago, Top
Yeah.
Shot and the slam dunks, and
There you go.
you
Yeah.
know the NBA, and being able to reward those attendees of your event, and make them a little bit more sticky and give them a little bit more tail past that event.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Well, cool. Um, huh. So what I mean, me as a, obviously that's a business and has some very entertainment focused business. Let's take that a little step further. You said anybody could set up an event.
That's right.
Well, yeah, what if, all right, me and you decided to set up an event. We're going to have this big webinar here in the next few weeks or something like that. We could set this up and what we would be doing, giving out, saying, hey, come register here and you get an NFT and you've got these different people that can get buy in. You got the free ones, maybe free NFT, and then you've got the paid NFT. And if you buy that, you
Mhm.
get something extra. You get time with Ted or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's where really the sky's the limit on doing an analysis on who owns your NFT and
Mhm.
looking at the block. But what with their platform, you set the tiers; they're all custom. Now, if you do have a uh, tier that has a cost associated to the ticket,
Yeah,
then they do take a small percentage. And what they're trying
sure.
to
That makes sense.
do is go up against like the Eventbrites or the C-Vent that takes a larger percentage of your registration costs, where they're trying to give that back to the event owner.
Right.
Uh, so there are abilities to create those custom tiers, create
Hmm.
a tier that has a higher cost to it because you might advertise um, a benefit down the road.
Sure.
Right.
And we had talked about previously about you being able to, some types of NFTs can gain in value over time. And so if we went
Sure.
back to like, okay, yeah, if you bought in at a certain the platinum level, and so I'm going to get I'm going to be I'm one of 1,000 people that gets this special record. So the halftime show. I'm one of 1,000 people that gets the recording of that, or something along those lines. And maybe it's
Mhm.
obviously it'd be of some famous artist. I own that. If it's going to appreciate in value over time, in theory, I would assume that I would be able to, a couple years down the road, it's gained value. I can sell that or give that to somebody else, I would think.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about NFTs is having that secondary market,
Uh-huh.
right? So you buy a ticket at the platinum level, you get access to all this additional content that was advertised. At some point you say this doesn't relate to me anymore. I want to go ahead and sell that, and there's a secondary market where it gives you access to sell that, and now your benefits can transition
Hmm.
to a different person. I don't think a lot of people have given thought to hey, you're the one that actually attended this event. Are the benefits transferable?
Right.
And
Well,
there's companies that are limiting the ability to transfer those tickets or even resell those tickets.
mhm.
But you may be eating into a secondary royalty that you can set
Right.
up by selling that later on.
That makes me think about in the nonprofit space, obviously you've got these big fundraising events. Yeah, it makes me kind of think about, what could a nonprofit do from a fundraising standpoint on using NFTs along those lines, where I'm coming in and buying it, knowing that maybe an artist donates something to
Mhm.
some type of NFT to asset to that organization, and then you've obviously got different people bidding on that, and obviously you've got a couple people that might end up not winning but getting that NFT
Mm.
as part of that fundraiser. And obviously it starts at a certain value and obviously appreciates over time. So even though I'm giving something to the organization, I'm getting something back possibly that can appreciate in value over time. Quite
Yeah, you
interesting.
reminded me of fundraising is a big part of kind of the Web3 space there, because you can keep track of the percentage. It's easy to see who's committed what.
Right.
Obviously, we're talking about cryptocurrency
Yeah.
and how it translates to the dollar, but it
Sure.
reminded me of, I think it was early last year, a group they created not even sure if you've heard of this, a decentralized autonomous organization
It's a big word.
in order to, DAO, DAO, if you've ever seen that. But basically, it's allowing you to fundraise. And last year, they tried. purchasing, I think it was like the 8th version of the US Constitution, and it was being auctioned off at, I think it was either Sotheby's
Yeah.
or Christie's auction house.
Uh-huh.
And they wrote the amount of money they raised for that was amazing. And they did it in a matter of, I think it was like 2 or 3 days. They found out and said,
Wow.
we want this. People started pitching in. They actually had someone representing them at the auction house. And
Yeah.
they ultimately got into a bidding war, and, they
Sure.
obviously went over the cap. The person that was bidding against them knew their cap. So, but it is interesting to think about not just not for profits who are doing fundraising, but a lot of different companies, and maybe DAOs or something that we can talk about some other day.
I'm just hinting on something you just said there. It took them literally just a few days. Well, that's the point here. Is this NFT stuff sounds complicated, but it's actually not that challenging to get up and running. Most businesses could, with just a little bit of legwork, could get this stuff up and running. Obviously, it's already a platform for events. Is already there. This box office by Sports Illustrated. It's in place. You can use it now without having to pretty much do much of anything. You just got to get in there and do it.
And it's easy to set up, it's like any other web tool, you just go through the flow, and set up your event, identify your, who, what, where, when, why, and off you go, publish it, send out your invites.
Yeah, you're engaging with a brand new audience in this way. It's
right. And even if one of the things, maybe it's not, Sports Illustrated's box office service, but check with your event provider and see if they're starting to get into this, because there are other services that will kind of go alongside you with your existing event provider, and they will create what they're calling a digital twin, right? So you're getting an actual physical version of your ticket through your normal event provider, but they will come along and say, well, we'll create an NFT of it so that then you can, target those people with, Web3 technology.
Sure. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So events, and sounds like it's pretty much done for us out there. We just have to go take advantage of it as a business.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to grow. And then it gets back into the community side of things, and how you're engaging with your community of fans, users, customers, whoever, and whether or not you're engaging them on that.
Sounds like it could
almost
be
new channel.
It sounds like an interesting way of being exciting and fresh and new to an audience. Because that's what we're talking about with an event. It's an audience. Yeah, so.
That's right. Right. And then awarding them with additional content after that event based off of their ownership of an NFT.
Yeah. So you continue to engage and improve that fan base and make them much more loyal to the brand. Yeah. Because that's what it's about.
That's right.
All right. Well, cool. I think that kind of wraps this one up. Using NFTs for events. Go figure.
That's right.
Pretty straightforward.
We're in a digital world. No more ticket stubs sitting in a box.
My wife likes collecting those, though. She wants those. She loves them. Where's it gonna go? It's yesterday's technology. Little piece of paper. Today's technology. NFTs. You better believe.
That's right.
Cool. All right, Ted. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks, John Paul.